neither team was really tested in the first best of one either. So they're both coming in fresh. It's not as if one of them had a 8-7 overtime game. You step in here now and you're feeling a little bit tired. They're all going to be relatively fresh coming into this game here on Consulate.
So as we head into Consulate, it is the final best of one for today. Of course, we've got another best of 3 to follow after this. There's still a lot more Siege to be played out on the B stream. The winner of this moves on to the playoffs, though. They get to skip all of the shenanigans over the next day or two. They get to, or at least the next day, they get to skip quite a bit. And they get to also avoid some really good teams that are going to be in that lower bracket. So there's a lot on the line when it comes to this best of one. Not just the qualification, but you go to that lower bracket, you might have to actually play a better team than your current opponent.
That's what I love about events like this. Like, you know, Falcons lost earlier today. They're in the lower bracket.
A lot of top teams.
Their group,
have you seen the bracket and how it's shaping up, by the way? Like, G2 FaZe will play tomorrow and loses out. Like, what is that?
Two teams that people probably thought were some of the favorites coming in to win the whole thing.
Yeah. It's getting really, really spicy towards the end of day one here at the Esports World Cup with Rainbow Six Siege X. Heading into Consulate, you've gone with OXG, I've gone with NIP, and I think the one thing I would be quite disappointed in is this ends up being just a complete one-sided. Either way, doesn't matter who it would be. I'm really hoping we're talking like either OT, 7-4, 7-5, needs to be at that kind of level for two teams that we think are pretty evenly matched.
We've not really had a big game like that on the B stream today so far. And look, I'm going to let everybody in the secret. I only picked OXG because I knew you were picking NIP. It's our last cast together today, so I was like, you know, one of us can be right at least.
That's true.
I'm a fair man, I believe, as we go. But
there's every world in which OXG can win this. Like, it's not like you're just saying it for the sake of it. Like, there's a really good opportunity here for OXG.
Yeah, and looking at the way that they've set up as well, so much utility clear being brought by the side. Obviously, Flores brings that into play. Ash can be used for that. In fact, they've got 4 nades in the back pocket. Like, they are heavy set on clearing that utility. And look at the utility that they're bringing, right? So you've got Azami, you've got yourself all those Melusi traps, you've got... So they're the keys. They're the main bits of utility that you want to deal with. Big one for me is, how are you going to clear that Vigil? Because Hates is going to be a problem. Not using the K1A, not electing to use the Boss G. I don't think that's the worst thing in a world on a map like this, but he is the problem that you've got to deal with.
Fantasy on the Azami over towards managers. Obviously had a really, really good game against Enterprise as well, and Head's got all of the plaudits and certainly got the MVP, but he was just as good. Cons had some good moments. Yoga now coming in on the rappel in towards admin. So far, so good, and almost got the pick onto Fantasy. Talk about making your timing on the dash out. Yoga, we think, geez, that was a really good opportunity to find an opening pick. Not just that, but also getting rid of the Azami.
Timing at its finest here as Yoga will begin to work through Printer, so it's a full horizontal take at this point in time. You can see that the Azami is still not too far away. You've worked out that there's a player at desk as well on top spiral, so that's not too much of a surprise as Gomez will find the opening kill, clearing that Azami and clearing a bunch of space. No real attempt at the refrag just yet. As you can see, all the defenders are essentially giving up that section map, playing the front line, but Hates, I said it would be a problem. He gets himself a double pushing up those spiral stairs.
And Pino getting rid of Adam as well, despite the opening kill for OXG completely then falls apart as they were looking to push past vending into long desk and they got obliterated. Despite the fact that only Cons was actually towards default inside of meeting, they could have kind of pressed and pressured the mute. But they just went over to where the stack was defensively for NIP, and Oxygen get punished. Gomez, who got the opening pick, now the only one alive. And, well, what started off decent enough for OXG, and is going to fall apart in the opening round, and a really good response from NIP. No surprise to see Hates, of course, get heavily involved after what was a really good game earlier. Wizard completely caught napping. Gomez towards vending, still one spiral. That's going to be, of course, Hates on the Vigil, making contact. The EE1D is not going to do a lot at this point. You're going to take the fight anyway, and he does get the kill onto Hates. Gomez needs to get the ace to clutch this round. 30 seconds left to do it in a 1v2. Presented with another opportunity.
Going to wrap his way around. Takes a little bit of damage, but found himself a little bit of space on the other side as he pushes through Baguette now. The question is, Can he get the case down? The defenders are on the hunt. They want to get this kill. He can probably get the plant down here. He's got 13 seconds to go. It looks like the defenders are sprinting. They're going to play as a 2. He pops off it because he hears the noise, and Cons will win it for NIP.
Ooh, Gomez, though, talk about doing as much as you possibly can in a bit of a bad situation. He got the only kills in the round for OXG. The first one, that matters, and then he was also able to keep the round alive despite it being a 1 versus 4. A decent effort, but NIP, they won the round in the mid-round, and they got the job done when they needed to. That's the main thing. Hate's really good over towards Spiral. He came in from bot Spiral. They just weren't expecting it because they're fighting long desk. He pops up, finds the angle, double kill, and then the rest obviously able to convert as well. So a good defensive round for NIP, despite good admin control early for OXG. Gomez catching a kill. We almost saw, and what you said was Siege timing fantasy almost got taken out early on the Azami. So it could have been a bit disastrous for NIP, but they stabilized, got themselves into good positions, and they get a deserved round despite the heroics of Gomez.
Yeah, and with that too, Gomez, he decided to come off the plant. I don't think there was a wrong decision to make in that in the 1v2.
It's a 50-50 call whether you just full stick or you go for the kills.
Yeah. Now, going to the other side of the map, we're going to go to basement now. Pino was reinforced over by Secret. Mira, pretty common operator to bring when you're defending on this basement site. Looking at the defensive lineup, they've brought no denial whatsoever, so there's no way to stop that breach from being open. And with that being the case, Glass is going to get brought, Thermite's going to be there, Ying is there. So what you would expect in essence is you open up that main breach, you poke and you prod with a Glass to see if you can find a kill, maybe on the Mira playing the window. That might just open up an avenue to step in and get the case down.
Yeah, basement for the second round, Pino bringing out the Mira so they can bunker down over towards Kitchen. Wizard backside. Hates is also going to be involved on the Vigil once again. Of course, had a big influence in that opening round. Other than that, though, there's a decent amount of contribution across the map for NIP. You know, CO for Fantasy, Hates roaming manager, so they've got double top floor pressure. Breach, though, and that might just force those roamers back. And Forrest is going to go for the quick plant inside of the smoke. Now, there is a Nitrocell that can deny, but it does not be effective at all for NIP. But at the very last second, microsecond gives, and it gets stopped. I thought it was going to be successful.
I thought it was down. That's how close it was, and now you have to go to plan B if you're OXG. But that's a big play from Pino. Did get traded out, but has done his job. Another big fight coming as Fantasy will begin to flank down the stairs. The goo mine revealing the position as one will run away. But you can see that the angle is being held. Grixer knows there's a good chance that somebody is going to flank back down these stairs. The drone will confirm that, so not taking the risk with the barrel of the gun, droning it out, which I suppose is just as effective, maybe more so as you keep yourself in the game. But we're halfway through the round, and it has to be a full reset here from OXG because plan A didn't work.
Yeah, you got to go to plan B, and typically if you're employing this kind of strategy, you will have that backup plan because you know full well what's going to potentially go wrong, which is the plan to losing their life. And so then it's a really easy one to actually strategize. But it's a vault in, and at that point it's a left or right decision. You don't clear the right side, you die. It's an easy one for Cons onto Gomez. Atom's going to fall as well to Fantasy. And for the second round in a row, NIP find themselves in a 4v1, but no shenanigans this time, not coming through from Yoga. NIP, 2-0 start.
But you jump in benches. You've got Candelas. You know, you jump in blind, you look the wrong way. You can make that fight a little bit easier for yourself, but take nothing away from NIP. They won the round. It all came down to Pino denying that original plant on plan A. You and I were both in the same book. We thought that the case was guaranteed to go down because he swung really wide, but he hit the shot that mattered. Glass had one task to do and wasn't able to execute it. But all credit to NIP. They take a 2-0 lead here on Consulate. And we're going to go to the tertiary site. We're going to Piano. And this is a site where historically it is not defended from Piano itself. It is all about the external hold.
One concern, though, right now is that the 2 rounds have been 4-1, 4-1. Yeah, I know, a little bit closer towards the end of the first round, but NIP have had a decent amount of control in terms of the firing power. So for Oxygen, it's like, okay, well, we got the opening pick in the first round, and then obviously we saw a little bit of a fight back from Gomez, so it doesn't end up looking as bad, but it was a 1v4 at one point. And in the second round, they were microseconds away from getting the plant down. So you can look at that and think, okay, almost successful. But it's a case of so far, too many almosts for Oxygen in the first 2 rounds. Now, can they take that next step, start getting some rounds on the board? Otherwise, this could get away from them really quickly if they're not careful, because then on the flip side, you can say for NLP, well, maybe they should have actually denied that plant even better. You know, maybe they shouldn't have allowed Gomez to get that down to a 1v2. You know, so all, like, the NIP themselves are doing a really good job of winning, getting the rounds, but they too have improvement within them.
And this is the thing, they win this round at 2-1, it's fine. You know, no matter how dominant or how the situation you lost those first 2 rounds were, you win your tertiary site, you just reset for this, you know, the second phase of your attacking half. Now the lineup, once again, your global operator in Dokkaebi will be so important for just clearing and taking space. Forest with the Sands, you see the Sands in play, it is all about the execute. It's going to be used in some way, shape or form to try to get that case down. The question is when and where. Another few things to keep an eye on. A team that's been flanked already in this game once, they're bringing Gomez. So they're going to look to sneak in somewhere themselves and maybe counteract any potential flanks that NIP might try.
Well, drone's going to be immediately destroyed after the Mozzie Pest was able to obviously hack it. Final round of the half before we get bans again. And obviously a double shield from NIP to begin. Will they follow up with a third? It's not like we've really seen Blackbeard be all that employed here by OXG. Quiet start though to this third round. I mean, we've got a minute 20 left on this clock and really not a lot of action. 4 drones remain for OXG, so and make that 3. Talk about timing, where they're going to have to now pick up this pace.
It's a complete reset of pace so far on this round from EXG. Obviously, they tried the rush in the second round. The first round, they got themselves into the building super quick. But with only 1 minute to go, there could be a potential fighting down in basement. It's Hits that will find the opener, and he had himself some company because they expected if nothing's happened for all that time, you expect that maybe an attacker will try to play from below.
You lose a lot of pressure now from that Deimos not having the death marks available. Gritzer falls to Pino, and it's all falling apart for OXG for the third round running. NIP just dominating in these moments where it matters. 1v5, so 1v4 to a 1v4 to a 1v5. It's getting worse now for Oxygen. Like, they're getting absolutely decimated here on Consulate.
At this point, if I'm OXG, I'm just staying alive and having an ad hoc timeout. You know, just have a talk. That's what he's doing at this point. What's going wrong? What can we do? And look, if we're looking at the players, that's exactly what's happening. So Forrest is talking to his teammates. They're like, right, this is another lost round. What do we need to do to change things over? And this is the, like, in a 1v5, this is the right call to do because you're not going to win against a team like NIP.
It's funny as well. I mean, the beauty of LAN is that NIP also just kind of looked up a little bit, saw Forrest talking, and they were like, all right, well, they're just obviously talking it over.
I just heard, don't worry, is what Forrest said after that one.
Put his arm up, waved a little bit and said, don't worry, don't worry. Well, they should be worrying, to be honest, because they're 3-0 down. It's a best of 1. You only got so much time to obviously rectify things, work on things. Into the bans we go.
What would you even ban if you're OXG at this point? Like, it's usually the reactionary ban where your first 2 bans the players you want out based on the team you're playing in the map. The third ban is usually, what have we struggled with?
It depends, not necessarily sometimes. You can go 2 ways, as you said. Is there something we're struggling with? But also, if you're preemptively thinking, we want to do X, so we always need to ban out Y.
Yep.
And so that might be a case in this situation. I like the fact that we don't end up seeing another shield ban from NIP. They just get rid of the Dokkaebi because we're not really seeing the Blackbeard get used anyway. But then, and what I've noticed as well, this is why I love the new ban system, is like teams like in this situation, double shield ban. And okay, for the first 3 rounds, if we don't play Blackbeard, they're probably not going to ban it. Now we play the Blackbeard anyway.
Yep, and then you're safe. Lineup this time around very much screams to me that it's going to be your normal office take. So you've got the Sands in there to cut off lines of sight. Grim's going to clear the position by the table in the corner as you try to take some control from below. Maybe they'll use Forest to create that vert as opposed to Buck below, which is another way to clear that space without taking the risk of having to have a body inside the building, because that's been a big problem for them so far in this game. I like the pick of Flora. Well, they're going to change it over to the Ying this time around. I love this. As long as I've been casting the game, sometimes I still like to talk too much about the attacking lineup, and then they'll go, "Now we're going to do something different."
Well, they're going to have to do something different, though. Oxygen are staring down the barrel here of being decimated, which would mean they'd be staring down the barrel of a lower bracket position tomorrow, where they're going to have to take on maybe an even stronger opponent than NIP. And as I'm watching this now, I almost have forgotten that they actually did beat Furia 7-3, and I'm starting to wonder, how did that actually happen? And to be fair, the credit to NIP is that they're playing really well. They've been in form, and it's all the way back to the South America League, into the way that they've now started here at EWC as well. This is some of the best form that we've seen from this roster for a very, very long time. And the question we'll pose, if they do win this, then obviously make their position into the playoffs, is how far can this team really go? Long way to go in this map, though. As Forrest said, don't worry, we'll see whether or not we can hold his words true.
And it is going to be a take from the opposite side of the map, so it's going to be full admin across this time around. Printer, of course, has been cleared already by Yaga. No pressure this time by site door, so you're not going to really give Gomez that free pick that he got last time around, but it was the flank up the spiral stairs that really caused the problem. Now you've just spotted one of those defenders push defender. That's excellent. You throw the nade, knowing he's going to have to move, you get the kill. Really good use of the nade to pick up that freebie, and now maybe you could work. This is like, it feels like this is the first time all game that they've had the number advantage. Well, they have tons of time.
They had it in the opening round, remember? And like it still ended up being a 1v4, so...
It was like a second though, right? It was ruined by the flank.
Still something. And still need to convert as well. One player advantage is something, but it's not a guarantee. Adrenal Surge is going to be activated by the Thinker of Forest. Now they make their push. Yoga headshot onto Fantasy, though. Well, the Blackbeard gets aggressive and will punish NIP for not tripling down on the shield ban. Maybe that don't worry message from Forest is right after all. They've come out swinging out of that ban phase, heading into round 4. Cons to keep the round alive for NIP. They need the next kill. Hates has to land this shot. Went for the shoulder peek and didn't fully commit. Cons then gets rid of Atom. Cons now up to 5-0. Nitro does nothing, and Hates will go down in a 1v3 that Oxygen must convert, and they will convert, and they're on the board for Consulate.
Don't worry was the message from Forest, and what a way to bounce back from that last round. Really good from the start. This time, they kept their eyes on the bottom of spiral stairs. There was no flank. They then took that position. You clear the player from vending machine. You clear the player from the desk. And from that point on, you've got so much control of the map going in now to the next round. So, if EWC can win this one, that poor start is completely forgotten about. 3-2, you know, they're not in the worst position in the world on this map. Now, as we change back down to the basement, where we saw the attempted rush last time, which was foiled by Pino, who will be rolling back that
it was
mirror.
Close, though. That's the thing. So, I mean, the only caveat is you can't really go for those twice. You kind of get, you know, 2 opportunities maybe in the half. You've got to pick one of those 2 opportunities. Okay, are we going to do it first up, or are we going to do it second up? So you can't really go for it a second time in a round, which then means you've got to go for clear above, play vert. So they bring the Sledge, the Deimos, the Grim. This is good. This is a good lineup for Oxygen. Plays a little bit more default. NIP then don't have to be as prepared and worried for that breach here. You still want to put pressure on it, open it up with the ace, but largely your emphasis is going to be, can you get like Piano and Expo control, open up the floorboards, put pressure, clear out any of that first floor pressure as well by NIP, and eventually then hit basement. But you want to open this breach still as early as you possibly can.
Yeah, and even if you open that breach, you don't need to use it. You've just given the defenders something to think about. It could be, we're going to open that breach, then we're going to flip and attack from the other side, attack through secret. But it's a very important thing to do, because if you become too linear, like they kind of did in the first round, it really makes it easy for the defenders to hold back that push. So you've opened up the breach, now you can draw, but they're going to clear the map from the top down. They're so worried about that potential Vigil flank once more.
It should be. I mean, he is over towards Secretary. Hates has obviously been a very big, impactful player for NIP so far. Boris trying to get himself back out. That's just a lesion of Cons, but a bit of help from Fantasy. The numbers prevail for NIP towards Yellow. And that's a really good effort for NIP against the Blackbeard, looking to be aggressive and get control of a key position on the map. Forrest was close to maybe getting a kill onto Cons, but really was never close enough, couldn't land a tag. But if Cons didn't duck back down as soon as he did, he may have lost his life. Forrest now 0-5, by the way.
And I said it too, he was a player whose performance was going to have an impact on this game. Valkyrie will be targeted now by Deimos, but on a map like Consulate, it's never too hard to find somewhere safe to stand in the situation like this, as Gomez is going to go on the hunt, clearing all the corners. But you don't really have any map control. You're down a player. There's 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, and there's still the potential for another flank. You miss an opportunity to get that kill as Cons will dip back to the stairs. And now you don't know, is Cons going to go back up? Is he going to go back down? Well, that's going to help as he gets the kill on the hits. Yeah,
big kill, evens things back up at a 4v4, but the site itself is still the main objective for OXG. Talk about playing close by to each other right now, Wizard and Grixer. No one makes a move. Fantasy falls to Atom, and Oxygen maybe just finding a way through this back door and see if they can hit the site. Grixer playing the long angle, Wizard's close.
This is tense, as neither player is willing to move to reveal their position. You've still got Cons that is going to sit at the bottom of these stairs as well. So OXG got to be very careful as you step down now. The pre-fire will let them know that there is someone down bottom. Yellow Wizard will get that kill onto Grixer, so he was probably the one to blink. Pino finds another one as he sprays on through. The Mira having an impact again. You've got 2 attackers left alive, but it's a 2v2. Adam will find one of his own, and him and Yaga will work, but Pino with another on the round. Make that a third, and NIP take command once more.
It was said before as well on the desk as well. Pino a bit quiet in that Enterprise game, and there was others that stood up, but it seems like he's now performing really well on Consulate, adds more firepower to this roster. They go 4-1 up. That's been probably the number of this game. A lot of 1v4s, now a 4-1 scoreline in favor of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Final round of the half. It's been a half, though, where maybe the scoreline is not totally a proper representation as to what we've seen inside of the server. There's been good moments from OXG, and maybe on another day, maybe it's 2-3. You know what I mean? And it's a little bit closer, but that's the reality that we live in. NIP have been able to secure themselves 4 defensive rounds of Consulate. They get a free hit to close out the half, look for that 5-1 lead. And you mentioned it before on the desk, this is something that OXG kind of did back on Clubhouse against Furia. You start defense, you get a 5-1 lead. It's just too much to then claw back.
Yeah, if I'm OXG, the only thing I would be saying is earlier on today, we got a 5-1 half on defense, so we can do it, but it's one thing starting at 0-0 and doing that, and another one trying to claw your way back from that position. Now, if you are just joining us, this is not an elimination game, so if you're late, if you know NA is a couple of hours behind, so if you're just joining, you don't have to worry if you're an OXG fan. If they lose this game, they will go to that lower bracket where things you'd like to say get easier, but they really don't. But at this point in time, NIP are the commanding force in this game. But one round here from OXG, a 4-2 half, is certainly a lot better than 5-1, and it gives you something to work with. All I want to do is have them be... And look, they know who all the defensive lineup is, so that'll help.
And confirmed now, by the way, that the loser of this plays the winner of Falcons SSG.
Oh. So you're either playing the reigning champs or the team that won the NA, right? Okay, that's fine. Easy, I guess.
But it's not.
I see that Secret have also beaten W7M, so they're through to the next stage.
Yeah, Team Secret taking down W7M. That was on Cafe for Group B. So they're through to playoffs.
My dark horses for the event, by the way. They're the team that I said could surprise everyone.
This is the last qual game for the day in terms of who actually qualifies for playoffs from the upper side of things. Of course, we're still got another best of 3 to follow after this. Gomez and Cons both lose their lives early in this final round of the half. Makes it a 4 versus 4. We're going to be honest, that Oxygen probably deserve a second round. I think a 5-1 half is very harsh against them. But nothing is deserved. It's only earned in Siege.
That's what I was about to say. You get what you deserve in the end. But they've got a little bit of map control. They've got information on where 2 players are playing. Oh, that's a great pre-knife around the corner. And with that fantasy, Elsewhere gets a kill. Pre-fire from Forest, but the kill feed will light up. And it leads us back into a 2v2. Grixer and Yaga versus Pino and Hits. Pino, the player of the game so far through the defensive half. All he's got to do, all the defenders got to do, is use the time and potential mistakes that OXG might make going for this execute. But this 1 versus 1...
Well, the site's completely open as well, by the way.
Yeah.
So you got to go back up Spiral. So Yoga has to actually go away from the site here. They don't have the kit just yet, close by to Grixer. Time will become a factor. So for Pino and Hates, you want to just play into that time for as long as you possibly can.
This next fight is vital. you really feel this next fight is so big. Now, Deimos will get on the information again. They pick up the case. Timing. He misses him, but he might catch him by the door. Big fight coming through. You know where the player is.
Oh, my God.
You've got to make it happen. You pre-fire. You think he's going to peek the door. He does peek the door. Grixer hits him with a double as he just completely read what H was going to do. 15 seconds. Pino in the 1v2, but he's stuck in a closet. There's 10 seconds to go. They're not on site. They're going to get the case down.
They don't even have the kit. You could drop here. Grixer falls 1v1. No time now for Yoga to clutch this up. Time runs out. NIP making a 5-1 half.
Oh, that was just perfect. They didn't have the case. You get the kill. You drop the hatch.
Again, it's another round, Gibson, though, where it comes down to fine margins. OXG could look at this scoreline and think, lost, but close. We were almost there. Or this could have gone their way. Every single round, they had fingerprints on it, but just could never convert. For NIP, that is a big statement half. They are 2 rounds away from playoffs at the Esports World Cup.
And they deserve it so far. Like, as much as you say OXG have had their fingerprints on some rounds, NIP took it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
They forced their way in. They did not bow. They did not break. The round that OXG won was an excellently executed attack, but NIP are 5-1 to the good, switching to the attacking half on Consulate. The bans have come through, 2 shields to kick things off. Ying is going to get removed, as will Mute. But if I'm NIP, how's your nerves, right? You said it. 1 round away from the playoffs. And the big thing about that is think about the extra prize pool that you get alone from that. And if you're living in the Brazil region, that extra bump is a lot.
Yeah, 2 rounds away. There are those added nerves. It's always a funny one because technically both sides get those nerves, right? If you're OXG, it's like, well, geez, we got to climb this mountain. It's a torturous grind. But for the team that is ahead, it's like, okay, well, we don't want to now collapse and capitulate as we're so close to that final hurdle. So pressure on both sides, but for many different reasons. But you'd rather be in NIP's position, well and truly. 5-1 up, into the second half we go. They go attack side here on Consulate. We go basement to begin on the defense for OXG. They ban out the Montaigne, they ban out the Ying. Clash Mute from NIP.
So you've brought the Bandit, which means that if you want to, you can trick alongside Gomez. But with Cons being in position with the Capitao, you can stop that from happening. So you're adding more pressure onto Gomez to delay for long enough so that you can do that without the fire removing that player from that position. So you can see the little games of chess that are occurring across this map. Grixer on the Echo, ability to deny the plant if push comes to shove, ability to just drone as a defender as well and work out where they are. But I feel like if I am on the side of NIP, you can't breach. Like, just talking about that, they don't have any breach apart from the arrows, and Adam gets a big nitro.
Well, a really good start to the round for OXG. Another repel to come in. So straight through admin goes Fantasy. Now, it does have a logic bomb available, but opting not to use this here on the top floor clear. Now slips down server stairs. Aggressive movement here from Fantasy.
There's a silhouette. You can see the blue silhouette on the bottom of these server stairs. So as the call comes through, it'll give away the position. A pre-fire is going to happen, and Adam is going to win that fight. That was the big opportunity. Now, Adam was downed. It is, in effect, a partial trade, but you would assume that the members of OXG could probably get that player back on their feet. But
he's up.
Yeah, that's a big round so far from Adam.
A big round so far from OXG. Hello, peek around the corner. Forrest pops his head up, free kill onto Cons, and this attack from NIP is going to be squashed immediately to start the second half. We might be just looking at a defender-sided Consulate. Every world in which OXG can bring this back with the defensive masterclass of their own. Leaves Pino and Wizard with a lot to do. Forrest full white falls away, playing bot Spiral, knows there's one close off the back of that death mark. Forrest gets the kill onto Wizard, that's Case as well, and that's the round. Oxygen will make it 2-5.
Yeah, a minute to go, but there's no way Pino wins the 1v5. Case is still being held at this point. Down, and you step down, the Echo will get it. Forrest does fall, but Gomez is there to play the trade. Do you see what they did? They put Forrest prone, and then they had the player holding it. So it was a high-low. So there's no way you can win that fight with that hold that was being held. And Forrest needed that round too. You know, Forrest wasn't really having the game that you'd expect. 2 big kills, holds this case on spiral, job's done.
But the overall job not done and not even close to being done. You're still 2-5 down. It's a good round. It builds a little bit of hope for OXG that if they can continue to play at that level for the defensive consulate, they can claw that deficit back. We go to servers and tellers. We go split here. That's a bold statement in the second round of the second half to be going to this site. So that's a big call here for OXG.
Only 2 C4s. Usually when you see the split site, you'd expect a couple more C4s. Really, you don't put anybody there. You play from below and try to deny the plant above. But with only 2 C4s, it's not as powerful as you'd like it to be. Now, Forrest has brought himself to Cade, so he's probably going to electrify the hatch by the door, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So that gives him a little bit of more protection when they're playing inside a basement. So they've thought this out with the lineup that they've brought. The question is, what is the rebuttal going to be from NIP? What are they going to do based on what they've seen? And straight off the bat, double hard breach, you're going to bring the Twitch. That Twitch's job is to get rid of those Cade claws. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, you got Grismot mines as well. You got F-Not mines as well. There's a decent amount of utility that Fantasy can, of course, deal with the shock drones. Well, this is a bold goal for OXG. You win this, though, and then suddenly you got some really good sites that obviously remain opened up then into the next round. You can really start to snowball. So this is almost like the do or die. If we lose this, we're 6-2 down, it's going to be really unlikely. But if we win it, it really opens up a solid pathway to have an extended run here in this second half on defense.
You're going to have to win one of the tertiary sites anyway.
Exactly.
And, you know, who's to say Cade's going to make it through? So if Cade's a vital part of that, go there now. Do it now so it'll help your team out. Now, as you can see, Blackbeard will go in, the goo mine will go off, that'll reveal a little bit of information, and Gomez gets the opener. Yaga with a second, using the goo mine for information. Grixer will find another one as OXG are activated here on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's hot here in Riyadh, but they are hot inside of the server right now. Dominant start in this second half. NIP have not really fired a shot, not really shown any kind of strength on the attack of Consulate. And if you're an OXG fan, if you're a North American fan, you're probably starting to think, geez, they might actually be able to bring this back. I know there's still ways to go, but you're now looking at 3-5. You're now also winning a tertiary site, so you've got main site still to play after this as well on defense. And you just beat Furia on Clubhouse where you got 5-1 half defense. So there's a lot that really now does suggest, statistically for OXG, they've got a really good chance, despite what was a first half that things didn't quite go their way. They can make it happen here. Wizard does get the kill onto Adam, but a lot more still needs to be done in this round for NIP. I think what NIP need to probably do is slow things down just a little bit. Just calm down. 2 rounds in a row, we're just losing too many bodies too early in the round. Do a bit more drone work. Do a little bit more scout work. Try and play the start round a little bit slower. Can you find that opening pick? I'll set that defense a bit.
Yeah, Case is cold at this point as well, but Wizard is going to try to conjure up something for his side if they're going to take a round win. Remember, there's still a C4 in play, so if you try to plant in here and the information is gathered, well, everything is going to go up in a cloud of flames. So Wizard, he's going to tuck himself into the corner. The C4's been thrown and it's been misthrown, and that's the signal. Now you can start putting the case down. Maybe we spoke too soon. Cover's there, but the shotgun from below will force him. Wizard gets one, Pino another, but Forrest will bring it to a 2 versus 1. Case is still in the hands of Wizard, though. He's still playing below, and he comes off it.
BPC, so he's worried about that. He's expecting them to play off of that information. Left side, there is one who's running. He's got the auditory information. Knows he's close. It's the headshot onto Yoga. Last one server stairs. Red time, though. Has the kid available, but not opting to go for the stick. OXG will take the round. Timeout from NIP. It got a little bit too close for comfort, but it's still a round that OXG deserve to win.
And much like the situation on the second round of this game where OXG had the case in a 1v2 at the end, same, damned if you do, damned if you don't. He thought that they were going to get aggressive, maybe peak a little too soon. They didn't. Some people at home will say, well, why didn't you put the case down? If he goes to put the case down with a BP there, he's a dead man, so he's trying to find that kill. But OXG, we said it, they've won 5-1 already today on the defense. If they've seen NIP do it against them, they know that you can do it on a map like this. The timeout called by NIP, though, that tells me they feel they need to snip this OXG momentum in the bud. They want to get this round, get the 6-3, and that puts all the pressure back onto OXG.
Timeout will expire now for the Ninjas in Pyjamas. So 5-3 from a 5-1 lead, 2 in a row for OXG. Fighting back here on Consulate. Reminder, this is a best of 1. Winner goes to the playoffs. We go to Piano and Expo here for this 9th round. And typically, teams that come out of that timeout, you know, usually do quite well. And NIP haven't really shown a lot of promise so far in the early portion of these attacking rounds. It's constantly OXG with massive advantages, winning a lot of the early round battles. And yes, NIP did bring it back in that last round. Certainly a surprise to me. And they carry that form now into this 9th round and get off to a better start. As I said, you just got to maybe slow things down just ever so slightly. I know you can play Consulate fast pace. Slow down. Play the Deimos. Get the drone work. Try and clear out these defenders. Keep them moving around. Open things up. Try and get map control. Don't have to just rush in. I say that. Let's go blitz.
Yeah. Well, there was a guerrilla warfare aspect to the first 2 rounds of the OXG where in the first couple of seconds they hit them and got out of there. You know, a lot of damage had been dealt. You spoke about...
And they dropped the Deimos.
Yeah. You spoke about the timeout. Like you're saying about how it's so often teams win the round after they take the timeout. I think one of the biggest mental warfare things you can do is win the round after the opposition takes the timeout. Like the damage that does to the mentals, like you paused, you spoke about it, and you still couldn't win.
Yeah, and then it's 4-5, and suddenly it's a very even game. So a big switch up for NIP on the attacker repick. They dropped to the Deimos, they brought the Blitz, they bring the Capital. Aloe once again employed. Seeing a bit of use here on Consulate. Solus too could have some impact as well.
Setting up a breaching sequence.
Been a very even spread performance from OXG. When you actually look at the KDA numbers, everyone has been evenly involved. There's no clear standout. There's also no clear standout on the negative side. I know Forest did start a little bit slow. I think it was actually 0-6. Certainly was 0-5. Now 4-7, having more of an impact. Nitro thrown out early though, expended, wasted, doesn't gain anything.
Yeah, I think the only thing he's really gained there is the information that nobody was standing in that position, which is not really the bit of information that you want to garner. Now, Brava is in play. Again, you're thinking about what you're going to steal, those Malusi gadgets, those Grismots as the teams try to walk in and take some space. But Grixer with the shotgun on the Solus is going to tell a lot about the story. Is he playing below? Is he playing above? I'm just going to look at the map. I can't quite see from this angle. But look at how quickly NIP, like we're a minute and a half into the round, but they've cleared a lot of space already. It looks like they've skipped the top floor in its entirety. It's more of a horizontal push that's coming in from NIP. If they can hold their flanks correctly, this could be really good for them.
Just over a minute remaining. At the very least, they kind of got what I wanted in NIP slowing things down at the start. So they've got 5 players alive here towards the middle round of this 9th. Back over towards the yellow side for Oxygen. Both bottom and top floor, so they've got good control in terms of the vert. And is he trying to find an angle? Don't forget, they've got this blitz as well with Con, so they haven't used it overly aggressive, but it means it can still be a factor late round, and they can go for a hit when they so choose to pull that trigger.
This is such a tricky situation for NIP to be in because they know there's the threat of the vert, but Cons is just going to walk in. Solus was below. Pino gets the kill though. Fantasy with another one. So Grixer isn't going to be able to stop the plant from going down. He will find 1 kill of his own, but it's a post-plant situation. Shoot him!
Got him! No, well, it was Grixer that got him. I thought maybe Gomez, who was, of course, shooting, but they were able to tag team together from different angles. 3v3 keeps this alive for OXG. And NIP were quite fortunate because Yoga was inside of Piano despite that plan in Expo. Grixer, another one, 3 in the round, could even go for the ace. Boy, this could change the fortunes of this very best of 1. But low on time, despite having the player advantage. Outside on the scaffold is Wizard, but does not move. Means that Pino needs to deny his plan as Forest sticks it the whole way through.
No,
but then
he doesn't.
At the last second, Ninjas in Pyjamas deny that ninja defuse. They go match point on Consulate.
That was so close for Forest, but not close enough as NIP take the round and they go to map point, and they are 1 round away from the playoff stage. OXG, well, if they want to move on to the next stage, they're going to win this.
That is the second microsecond kit for Forest. You think back to the first half, the plant going down inside basement. Microseconds, denied, doesn't get it. You're thinking now about the counter defuse. Microseconds and denied and doesn't get it. OXG would be looking at this scoreline thinking, there's no way this should be 6-3. How is this 6-3? It is 6-3.
Isn't it crazy how these little threads just work through a game, that it's the same player on the opposite side of the coin, but it's the same thing that costs OXG the round. Looks like OXG have called their timeout on the opposite side straight off the back of that. Well, there's no time like the present whenever you're in that situation. But look at the conversation. It's all between Forrest and the coach. Those are the two people that are talking right now. And they need to cook up something because, as we kept saying, OXG, they need to be perfect. And all that NIP need to do is win once.
One round away from playoffs at the Esports World Cup. But Ninjas in Pyjamas. This bombs go out. Tactical timeout expires. 6-3 lead for NIP. They know full well one more round and they are into the playoffs. OXG, as I said, a daunting task would await them if they do lose this. We're talking about either Falcons or SSG being their opponent. That game happening, I believe, at the moment on the A stream. At least it should be, because I believe we're going to be covering on the B stream, Enterprise versus Furia. The winner of that will take on W7M, which means that if Furia were to win the expected result, Furia W7M elimination game tomorrow. It just, all of these matchups that we've got for tomorrow are absolutely insane.
We got what, FaZe G2 potentially,
Dark Zero Weibo,
yeah,
W7M Furia potentially,
or Enterprise. You know, don't rule them out. Well, don't rule them out.
Sound harsh to the boys, but we're being realistic. Furia, the absolute hard favourites. My hope for Enterprise in that series is they can just be a little bit competitive. Like, they don't have to win, but if it's like 7-0, 7-0, that's a downer.
Yeah. Well, Furia are going to be bouncing back with a range, but OXG need to bounce back from that previous round that they lost by fractions.
Well, can they get the timeout buff?
You'd hope so. But they need a timeout buff and then 2 more on top of that just to get overtime. But every journey starts with the first step. Adam will go on the vigil, and he's bringing the boss G this time around.
And again, Pino, 11-4 now. So, like, a quiet game against Enterprise. It was Hates that was popping off. Now, Hates is 3-7, so they've kind of swapped in terms of their numbers, which is a really good sign of a team that's got multiple weapons.
But look at all the player stats for NIP, like Wizard 9-5.
Yeah, and he was quiet too.
Yeah.
So you got Pino and Wizard in this match, and in the previous one it was Fantasy and Hates. And Cons has been actually stable and solid in both of those 2 games as well. So, I mean, it's a real team performance today for NIP. Like, if they win this match against OXG, they're all heading back to the hotel and they're all feeling really confident about going into the playoffs. But it's Atom that finds the opening pick onto Cons. That's the black bit. That's a good start to this round. Now, Gomez is down at the moment on second floor bathroom, and they do lose Yoga. So it's a short-lived little win for OXG, and now they actually find themselves slightly behind.
Yeah, look, Vigil's going to be forced to jump on out, and what that does is it means that you can clean up that downed player. Now, Wizard's going to try to find the kill. Fantasy will clean out Gomez, so it's a 4 versus 3 now. NIP can just almost taste that next phase of the competition.
Oh,
this could be big. Wizard gets the kill. It's a 4v2 now.
He cut off the rotate, knowing full well that Adam was eventually going to want to make his way back down the basement, as that's the site. Really good position and really good patience. 4v2 now. NIP have got OXG on the ropes. Forrest and Grix are going to have to pull off something very special here. Both in sight.
And what do? You bunker down. They're going to reinforce off or close off some of these doors to give you the early information. You've got the mirror window that can watch the bottom of yellow stairs. You can watch the main breach. But if you look at those silhouettes...
Patience from NIP, though.
Yeah, this is better. This is what we did, maybe didn't see in some of the rounds that they lost. But it's not done yet. With 30 seconds to go, can OXG claw it back?
Well, we know Grex has got a Nitro Cell. I didn't quite catch whether or not Forrest actually has one available too. No, he does not. So just the one. Hasn't been used though. This is probably the time you almost want to use that unless you're thinking about the plant denial, but there's just too many bodies available. I'd rather try and take a body off the board and take the early fight. Forrest though, losing his battle. Grexa wins his though. Big kill onto Hades. Keeps this alive. Into red time we go now. Forest still very low. Grixer having to navigate. Plant going down from Wizard, but gets off it temporarily. Now, can time be the friend here for OXG? You've got to deny the Plant, and they do just that! And Grixer clutches up! They're not done yet. That North American dream stays alive a little longer.
And do you know what actually allowed them to win that round? Did you see when Forest fell back, he reinforced that door off the coffee, and that stopped the push coming the other way for just long enough for them to retake and stop the Plant from going down. That tiny decision helped them massively win that game, and if you're NIP, you're fuming.
Oh, absolutely. You're thinking, that's it. We've got playoffs. It's a 4v2. We've got a minute. Let's make sure we don't blunder this. But they almost left it with too little time remaining. So that when that Plant was denied, there was 3 seconds left on the clock. Now, if it was 13 seconds, you can navigate that scenario in many different ways. But with no time left, OXG then basically won the round off of that.
Yeah. So OXG, one step. 2 more to go to force overtime here on Consulate. We're going back to that split site once more, where, let's be real, even though it came down to the wire, it was a dominant round, and realistically, it was a 4v2.
It was. It did come down to a 2v2, but...
A little bit of troll time. You know, you get in that situation, you do it just a little bit. But
that doesn't mean it's all, you know, sunshine for OXG, because it means for NIP, they'll be looking at this as if they lost it convincingly. Not so much that they actually brought it back. They'll think about, well, what went wrong at the start? What can we do better? Was it the way we entered? Was it the way that we obviously treated the round? So they'll obviously change up the way that they're going to play this. It's not going to just be a given here for OXG.
Something's happened elsewhere.
Well, the A stream is actually quite a distance away, by the way, from where we are located. The C stream was really close, but the A stream is really far away, and yet we still heard that. So obviously, Falcons SSG taking place at the moment. I believe. Should be.
A little bit quiet for an SSG game, right? Usually when they play, just a tad longer. Speaking about things being quiet, not so quiet for the defenders now, as the logic bomb will go off and the vibrations of those phones will echo out around the Consulate map to give those attackers just a little bit of an idea of what's free, what's not free. And you just see that Legion inside a piano, almost catching Wizard with just a tentative pre-fire through the wall. And well, Wizard will dip into cover because there's even more blue silhouettes starting to come this way.
Again, it's the slow approach from NIP this time. Last time we saw Split, it was brass, it was brazen, it was fast, and NIP obviously saw the worst of why they probably don't want to do that again. So it's that slow approach. Wizard actually had a really good tempo hold earlier in the last round where he got Adam on the flank back over towards yellow. He wants to probably try and do something again similar here, but there's less reason for OXG to obviously make their way over towards his side of the map. Logic Bomb again rings out, so it has gotten some decent value off of this. Deathmark activated onto Gomez by Hates, who's only 3 and 8, struggling here on Consulate. Was the MVP in the earlier match against Enterprise. Minute left, again, time factor now for NIP. I tell you what, OXG getting some really good momentum being built up.
This round goes the way of OXG. Doubt creeps into NIP then, because they were so far into the lead, and at this point, it's going to have to be explosive with 50 seconds to go. They've opened up the hatch. It gives them access to that position below. They've got some drone work. They know where those defenders are. But Xenox, with 40 seconds to go and some information gathered, like, there's still so much work to do. And maybe, if you don't do this right, you're going to potentially lose Fantasy. But the case is going down.
Yeah, Plan's going to go down. Con successful now for NIP, so it becomes a post-plan. Big kill from Wizard. The patience pays off for him. 3v3, though. Grixer low on health, but so is Cons. Evened up between those two. 35 on the clock. Con's taken even really lower towards Spiral, navigating back in towards Lounge. Oxygen need to hunt down, find these attackers.
Oh, and Grixer is going to fall, so it's a 2 versus 3, but a sneeze on the Cons will remove him. Sir, Forest will go for the defuse, but comes off it, and he is going to get put to DBNO. It's all down to Gomez, but Wizard will send NIP through to the playoffs.